I say it every time. My favorite time of the month, third Tuesday this time. Usually it's the first Tuesday. But whatever Tuesday Being Brown at Work live happens, you know it's my favorite.
Mhm.
And we are back for part two. Look, if you missed part one, you got to go out to whatever your favorite channel is and catch it because this young lady you see on the screen dropped some serious gems in part one of this topic, how to successfully navigate your spaces and do it successfully. How do you define success? Part one was everything. So definitely, if you haven't caught it, go catch it. But if you are joining us for part two, along with your notes for part one, get ready because this is going to be everything. She's going to give us some actionable steps. Let me reintroduce to you and introduce to some others Lexi B. Lexi B. Alexandria Butler, widely known as Lexi B, is a sought after figure in the tech industry, renowned for her transformative work and exceptional ability to cultivate executive leadership and promote workplace equity. With an extensive background at prominent Silicon Valley tech, Lexi B elevated her mission of empowering professionals to new heights by launching a podcast, Sit with Lexi B. And you definitely want to check that podcast out. This groundbreaking repository serves as a powerful medium for celebrating and discussing the transferable skills that are essential for building the professional life individuals aspire to have. Lexi B's reputation as a sought after speaker and workplace culture commentator has earned her numerous invitations to share her profound insights and wisdom with organizations of all sizes, as well as prestigious publications such as Tenable, Pearson, Digonomica, and see, I thought I was going to mess it up last time, and I did this time, Digonomica, CBS, and more. Bringing her unique blend of entertainment and expertise to the table, Lexi B is poised to revolutionize the way corporate entities approach professional growth and development. Welcome back again, Lexi B, to Being
Thank
Brown at Work Live.
you. I am honored to be
Yes.
here, Linda. I am honored to be here. Yes.
Oh, it's truly an honor for me. It's the first time with everything. So I was so excited when these 2 weeks went by and we are back today. So let's see, I want to kick off our conversation this time, especially for some people that may have missed part one. Let's revisit a little bit about successfully navigating rooms, right? And how defining success and why that's even an issue for Black and Brown women. Can you share a little bit about
Yeah. So I
that
think
part of our conversation?
so TLDR, folks. In order to successfully navigate any workspace, you have to do the work to successfully navigate yourself. Because depending on
Mm,
what you want from that workspace, what you want in the long term or the short term, will actually actively decide and define how you're then going to navigate, how you perform at work, how you behave, the kinds of conversations you're going to have, and most importantly, the types of people you're going to work for and what you're actually doing. So
yes,
what we talked
yes.
about last time and what I suggested was you actually need to take 3 steps back and start figuring out who you are. Figure out what kind of person you want to be in the world. Figure out if you want to be a millionaire by 30 and so therefore you can be left alone and retire. If you're comfortable with working 40, 80 hours a week until you're 65, also give yourself grace and know that change is constant and you can have all these plans and wake up tomorrow and trash them and change them again. But I do think
Oh
it's
my God,
important.
Les.
Yes, like it's okay. It's
Yes,
okay. No
it's
stress.
okay.
But I do think it's important instead of you allowing work to define you, you define the work. So looking at
Yes.
your 1 year plan, looking at your 3 to 5 year plan, your personal plan. What do you want to do? What do you financially want to accomplish? Where do you want to travel? What kinds of foods do you want to eat? If you can create that narrative in your head and God forbid on paper, then you can actually start aligning that to work.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's what we discussed. Because most people, they go to work and then they're like, why am I so unhappy? Why is my personal life work?
Yes,
And I've been there,
yes.
done that, got a t-shirt and some sweatpants. And what I'm saying is because you should allow your personal life to define what your work life will be so you can just be overall at peace.
Yes, exactly. And my audience knows I say it all the time. Who you are personally is who you
Mhm.
are professionally. The two of them do go together.
Right.
They are not separate. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. And what we talked about last time. I think you also talked about, you touched on a real important aspect, especially as it relates to Black and Brown women, why we even have to navigate rooms. I mean,
Yeah.
you talked a little bit about, the history, right? Our
Yeah.
ancestry and how it was created by some individuals that didn't necessarily think of us as worthy or having the ability to not have to navigate. So we have to do this extra. Can you remind the audience of some of
Of
that you shared?
course. Of course. I think that so capitalism is a modern day term for
Yeah.
colonialism.
Mhm.
People don't like me to say that, but I will. Capitalism is the modern day sexified term for colonialism. It is the same thing. And so, if you understand the history of colonialism, and the
Yes.
history of colonialism, no person of color benefited from that system. I would argue actually no one benefited from that system, but Linda, this is not a history
True.
panel.
There we go. Right.
Nobody
It's not.
actually
But
benefited
yes,
from that system.
exactly. They didn't. No, you're absolutely
Um,
right.
but
I
especially
totally agree. Totally agree.
but especially Black and brown folk who were required
Hmm.
to build that system for other people to prosper. And so when you look at modern day capitalism, when you look at corporate America, when you look at Western society's definitions of corporate and how to make money and how to get insurance and how to financially thrive, you are
Right.
looking at just the modern day definition of what colonial was in the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, right? And so that's why it's so hard for us. We were
Hmm.
not, these systems were not built for us to be in them.
Exactly.
And so I always tell people, like, as a Black and brown person, there's no point in trying to not shine because you're going to shine regardless if you like it or not.
Yeah.
Right? The way these numbers are
Okay.
coming out in these tech
Yes.
companies, you will be highlighted and you will be seen, whether you
Yes.
like it or not. So you might as well be able to own that narrative of how you are seen and what is highlighted about you, because sis and bruh, you will be highlighted regardless. And I
Oh
think
my
it's
gosh.
very important to
Yes.
be intentional about that. And I'll say it again, whether or not you want to be highlighted, you will.
You will.
And you
Exactly.
can't control that. But what you can control a little bit is how in which I'm going to light up this
That
room.
narrative. Oh my God, let's see. I mean, I'm so glad you said that because I'm intentional in my professional life about controlling the narrative that's about Linda Talaferro.
Of course.
And I think it's extremely important for every one of us to understand that has to be intentional. You have to be aware. Wake up. If you're not, wake up. You've got to be, because to her point, you are highlighted and what you're going to be highlighted. So don't allow them to highlight you and then write the narrative via their lens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Completely, you do not want to give that kind of level of control of your professional life, your career, which translates into your personal life, because we all work to live. We don't live to work. So we
I
want
know I
to.
don't. I don't. But yes,
Look. I know I don't.
I do
Okay,
not
for
dream of
sure.
labor in my Eartha Kitt
There,
voice.
there
So
we
no.
go. There
No.
we are.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
definitely being in control of your narrative is so, so important. So now let's shift, because we, as my audience knows, we get all the context and
Yeah.
all the nitty gritty in part one of these sessions, and then we get into part two and we talk about actionable steps.
Mhm.
So Lexi, first, I think for me, and tell me if you agree, understanding or defining what success looks like is probably is the first part of this, right? And
Yes.
then once you know what that looks like for yourself, then you go into, okay, how do I navigate the room to
Yes.
make that come to fruition? Would you agree? Yeah.
100%. 100%. And in order to
Hmm.
navigate the room, what we don't talk enough about in a lot of forums is you have to be good at your job.
Mm.
And people don't want
Okay,
to discuss it.
that would be for okay, that would be foundational. That would be first. Yes.
I think that we
We
don't
do.
discuss it because I think that people assume people know that. But in
So
2024 Stevie
true.
Wonder's internet, I've met a lot of people who don't. You must be good at your job.
Have to be
Before
good
you
at.
start building
Yes.
a brand, before you start trying to navigate a room, before you start trying to own a room, before you start to try to influence leadership, I need you to be good at your job. And for the record, being good at your job, just like sexuality, is a spectrum. So I'm not saying that you have to be perfect at your job, but you need
Mm.
to be intentional about learning your practice. When you know your practice and you know
Yes.
the rules, you can gray them for your own
Yes.
advantage. And I was very fortunate very early in
Love
my
that.
career, um, where I was required to get good at my job, and not because I wanted to. It was a very unintentional thing. I worked at a company that had layoffs every single year, right? So this is pre-pandemic, a long time ago. So I'm
Mm.
definitely used to the layoff game. And the people there were just, it was a more traditional tech company. So
Okay.
I was required to create program management templates. I was required to type notes in a certain way. I remember I'd go to happy hour and talk to my friends who worked at, what you call like socially sexier companies. And they'd be like, you have to do what? I don't have to do that. And I hated it. Looking back now in
Mm.
my career, there's those first 4 years at that company are the foundation of my job right now. So, like,
Wow.
you have to get
Wow.
good. So, if you are not in an environment where someone is not requiring you to get good, you need to go find the resources to get good. And if you are in an environment where someone's requiring you to get good, um,
Mm-hmm.
thank them. Because that is a tool
Mm.
anywhere you go, and that actually makes you profitable. So that's the first step. Be good
Well,
at your
let me interrupt you there because some people I would imagine in the audience are saying, okay, Lexi, I hear you.
job. Mhm.
I need to be good at my job. I want to, if they're not requiring it, I got to go seek it. But what if I am good at my job and they just, for whatever hell of reason, aren't recognizing that? No matter
You need
what I
Yeah.
do.
Mhm. You need to go find people that do. This is a competitive market. And so I actually had this conversation a few days ago with somebody where they said a similar thing. They said, I'm good at my job.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I am not this person's manager, but I observe them in meetings and I'm like, you are good at your job. Right. And he came
Mm-hmm.
back to me and he said, well, my manager doesn't do anything negative to me. And then I said, but he's not promoting you. He's not marketing.
Mm.
He's not giving you opportunities. The fact that you had to put time on my calendar to have this conversation means that like this manager doesn't actually care about you. So I think it's important that once you're good at your job to understand that people are giving you language, body language, verbal language, spiritual language all the time.
Yeah.
No one has to
Yes.
come to
Yes.
you and say, I don't like you, to not like you. No one has to come to you and throw shots in the middle of the meeting and be
Wow.
disrespectful to you for you to
So
know
true.
they are not supportive of you. So if you are good at your job and you recognize the leaders that are currently leading your initiatives are not giving you opportunities, are not sponsoring you, are not mentoring you, are not saying, yo, let's go to lunch. I want to ask you what you want to be when you grow up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Silence is literally violence in all
Wow.
circles and in all spectrums. And I do think sometimes, Linda, we get caught up in that. As Black
We
and brown
do.
people, we say, well, this person never called me out my name. And then my response is, and they never treated you like Jesus either.
Boom.
So
Oh my gosh.
we
Yes.
can, so the silence of
The
your leadership
silence.
is actually
Yes.
violent. And here's the fun fact.
Yes.
If your
Wow.
leadership is silent with you, if people are not giving you feedback, they really do not care if you succeed.
Mm.
Now, the
Mm,
good
mm,
news
mm.
is that they're not trying to hurt you. You may not be on the layoff list tomorrow. You may not be getting fired tomorrow. But if people aren't trying to promote you, support you, love on you, then they are trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Yeah.
killing me
Yeah.
fast or killing me soft,
It's
right?
slow. Yeah, it's right, 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 right,
You are
right. Oh
trying
my
to do
gosh.
that, and
That's
I think it's
everything.
very important for us to really see those signs, and I
Yes.
think a lot of
Yes.
people don't realize that because of our history with
So
colonialism,
true.
oppression,
So
right?
true.
How many
So
Black
true.
folks, we just want some peace,
Yeah, we
and
want to be
so when
left alone. We
right,
yeah,
so
we
when
do.
you
We want to be left alone.
so
And if
when
we're
you
left
have
alone, we're
leadership
golden.
right, so if you have leadership that literally leaves you alone, you have this
Hmm.
peace, and my response is like, "Boo, this is not peaceful, you're
It is
just being
not.
killed slowly." You need leaders who come to
Yes.
you after the meeting and say, hey, Linda, loved it. Can I give you some actionable feedback? Right? And you need leaders when they give you that feedback, the feedback is actually coming from a good place. You need to be open
Yes.
to
Oh my
feedback.
God.
You also need to have some home training and understand that feedback is is like receiving a gift. People can give you all the gifts you want. That does not mean you have to actually take the gift.
You
You
have
can
to take it
you can
all.
send that back.
Exactly.
But you have to have this discernment of like, oh, this person's giving me feedback. They're saying, yo, I see something. Let me
Mm-hmm.
sharpen
Mm-hmm.
those edges. Oh, this
Mm-hmm.
person's putting
Mm-hmm.
time on my calendar on a monthly basis, or I'm hitting them up and they're saying put time on whatever. And they're actually
Yes.
asking me real questions. They're not saying, oh, Linda, how's work going? They're
Hey,
saying, so how
exactly.
is that one project and who's in the room so I can see
There
who
we
I
go.
know, so I can tell them that you are Jesus, right? Right? Like you have to
No,
follow
absolutely. Oh my God,
those
I love this. This is so
people.
good.
And so when people
This is
aren't
so
doing
good.
that for you, again, I'm not saying that they're over there plotting your demise, but silence is violence
It is. It
in
is
any
violence.
circle.
It
Yeah.
is. It's so, oh my God, that's so well put. So well put. Look, I'm telling you, y'all. If you don't have the notes, you have to listen to the replay because this is everything. Because this is real. What Lexi is sharing, this is real, and you probably, well, not probably. We know you've been oblivious to it because, again, you come to work, you don't want to make friends, you want to mind your own business, you want people to mind theirs, and so if everybody's quiet and they just say hello in the morning and goodbye in the evening, you think you're good. What did Lexi just share with you? Silence is violence. So you
Mhm,
want to wake up. Wake up.
mhm.
Okay. What's some more steps, lady? What's some more steps?
So after you do that,
Love it.
I
Love
think it's
this.
important for you to decide what kind of person you want to be at work. I think that
Mm,
activism, I think that working is also a spectrum and can be very productive in many, many forms. You do not have to be the loudest person in the room. Some of the
there we
leaders
go.
that I have worked with and that I do work with are the most silent people in the room. And I call them my silent slayers, right? And everyone knows they're a silent slayer, right? You have to figure out
Mm,
how you want to lead yourself and then how you possibly want
okay.
to lead or others in the future. Um, and so navigating that, not everybody is going to be on a podium and speak,
That's right.
right? But that
That's
does
right.
not mean that you are not worthy. So to all of my introverted people, like you don't have to do that to be successful, but you do have to be good at your job. You do have to
Yes.
find people that you feel safe with so you can have
Yep.
hard conversations and they can
Yep.
say, you know what, I think I have something for you. And then for extroverts and introverts and anyone in between, you need to network. It's
Ah,
very interesting to me, Linda, that people like to network when they actually need something instead of networking when they don't need it.
so,
I do
yes.
my
Yes.
best networking when I actually do not need it. And
Not
so what
needed.
happens is that when I need it, it's
Oh my
easy
God.
peasy lemon squeezy. It's a simple text message.
It's so easy. And
So
and Lexi, not is it as easy, the response is
quick,
like this.
quick. People need to know that you exist and know what you want to do and know what you're
Hmm.
good at. Okay.
Yes.
And that can be as simple, because as I tell people, we're actually still in COVID, like people are still dying from this, regardless of what the internet tells you. Um,
Yeah, they
that can
are.
be that can be as simple as sliding into someone's DMs on LinkedIn and saying, I'd love to have a coffee chat. That can be as
Hmm.
simple as going out for coffee with someone if you feel comfortable. That can be as simple as getting involved in community groups and going to meet people. Your network is your net worth. And
Mm.
building that when you do not need it will be very impactful when you do need it. And as a person who's been laid off twice, you will need it.
Mm. 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 Yes, you will.
Mhm.
Yes, you will. Wow, it is so powerful. And I share too with my clients that relationships, networking is truly everything because we will need it at some point in our career, whether
Mhm.
it's being laid off, whether it's, support for next initiative. In my case, it was wanting to get my MBA and not having to pay for it when I
Mm,
got accepted to Ross. It was the networking. It was that person who had the stroke of the pen that I had built a relationship with that saw the value in me in the future. Everything you just said, right?
mhm,
Because I controlled the narrative, all the other stuff I've done. It's so important to have that network.
mhm,
And even when I've had a boss that was not the best boss, it's
mhm.
amazing what some of the advocates can do in those cases as well,
See?
right?
And I would also like to argue, I think sometimes, Linda, people, when they hear the word network, they're like, oh, that sounds like a second job. And I'll be
Yeah, work. Yes.
it
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
be. It is work.
Hmm.
But
It
you
is work.
can but you can network at the job that you're in,
Girl,
right? The
yes.
person sitting next to you
Yes.
today, beloveds, is not gonna be at that company forever.
Thank
So
you.
one of the easiest ways to network, honestly, and I know this sounds crazy, but one of the easiest ways to network is to do your job well. Be kind to people who you work with. Be kind, not nice. Be kind. They're different.
Kind. They're
Kind.
two different things.
Two different things. And then
Yes.
also, as I tell people, have your boundary, but always use and. So when I'm at
Mm.
work, 99% of
Mm.
the time, when I say the word no, I don't say no, period. I say no and. And that and can mean I can't do what you're asking me to do, but happy to get on a phone call with you to workshop some ideas. That no can be in the email. Nope, this is not my team. But you know what? So and so's team, I think. You know what? I'm just going to add them
Mm.
into this thread. Hey, Linda, do you think this is you? And if it
Yeah.
is, if it's not, who do you think it is? And I do that a lot at work, and I think that it's actually helped me out well at work because I am
Powerful.
holding my boundary of no, but I'm also making it clear that let me
Yes.
know how else I can support because I want to see you thrive. So be good at your job, be kind, and always have a no and mindset. Yeah.
Love that. No and.
Mhm.
I love that. And you put all those three together with a powerful network,
It's done. It's done. Remember, everybody that
it's
you work with
done.
will work someplace else and it's going to come full circle.
Yes,
Also,
it
remember,
does.
all these recruiters you work with will work someplace else and
Mm.
it will come full circle. And people
Circle.
don't know that, Linda, about recruiters is that when recruiters leave companies and go to different companies, they bring their network because
That's right.
recruiters are graded on how many butts and seats. So recruiters also have to be strategic. If a recruiter is leaving company A and you work with them and they're going to company B, they're looking for great people to fill company B.
Company
Do
B.
not let the internet fool you. Okay.
Oh my God, that's so
The
true.
number of
Woo.
recruiters that have recycled in my life, the number of times where recruiters will hit me up and say, and I'm talking about recruiters that I never worked with, like recruiters where I went through an interview panel and
Hmm.
I didn't get the
Yes.
job, or a recruiter that we just connected on LinkedIn and they're like, yo, I just moved to this company and I know that other thing didn't work out, but you want to come talk to me about this thing?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
recruiters are constantly looking for quality people that can do
Yes.
good work because that's how they get paid. That's
That.
how their raises
Boom.
happen. So I always tell folks recruiters are kind of like salespeople, and people don't realize that. So always just remember that your network can literally
Yes.
start at your company, and you are actively
Exactly.
networking right now, even if you don't think you are.
Don't even think you are. Oh my God, it's so powerful. So awesome, Lexi. Look, I mean, these nuggets, and you guys got those five things. I hope you got them, right? If you didn't, replay this. But most importantly, I would recommend too, follow Lexi. You'll find her out on LinkedIn. She has a podcast. You definitely want to download her podcast, listen to every single episode, and connect with her. I have no doubt that not just here, but in those other episodes, wherever you see her, she is dropping wisdom. She is all about, you read her bio, she's all about, what did I say? Revolutionizing the way corporate entities approach professional growth and development, and essential for building professional life individuals aspire to have.
Mhm.
Everything we just talked about is what she's about. So connect with her, follow her. Lexi, has been awesome. Thank
Yes.
you so much for gracing the month of October at Being Brown at
Yeah.
Work Live.
Yeah.
Truly has been an honor. Truly has been an honor.
Thank you. And before we go, I just want to honor you and praise you because what you are doing is a form of freedom fighting. So thank you for being
Oh,
part of the revolution and continue doing what you're doing because this stuff needs to be said, especially for the next generation coming up as they learn and as they grow. And we can only get better when people continue to talk about it. So thank you for touching the hearts and minds and spirits of people.
oh, Lexi, thank you so much. Truly
Yes.
means everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Until next time.